How can we manage challenging behavior without using strategies like extinction and planned ignoring? As behavior therapists, our ultimate goal is to reduce these behaviors as well as teaching new skills. So, how can we use skill based treatment to not only reduce challenging behaviors, but actually replace them with positive functional skills?
Hi, I'm Shira.
And I'm Shayna.
We're behavior analysts that create weekly content about how to teach kids with autism so that they make real progress. And we create shareable resources to make your job just a little easier. Today's topic is all about positive behavior support. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on new video releases.
So, I was thinking about teaching sports to kids or to adults as well. But you think about teaching swimming, and you don't learn how to swim by jumping in the deep end. Likewise, I'm a skier, and you don't learn how to ski by going to the hardest run first and saying, okay, just go down the hill. Really, what we do is we start with approximations to the skill, right? Think about swimming. You start in the shallow end, and then you learn how to float, and then you get the arm movements in there, and you learn how to kick, and then you start improving on that skill. On the ski hill, you usually start on the baby hill, or at least on a really easy run. You learn how to get comfortable in your ski boots, and then you learn how to glide down the hill, and you don't start perfecting your turns until much later in that process. And it's the same thing when you're working with challenging behavior as well.
Right. Challenging behavior is really a result of skill deficits. It is a skill deficit often in communication, in being able to tolerate things, tolerate waiting, tolerating not getting what we want, or tolerating challenges. And then also sometimes in transitioning and in doing hard things. And so these are skills that we can build. We're going to talk a little bit about skills-based treatment. Skills-based treatment and the practical functional assessment is the model that was really researched and created by Dr. Gregory Hanley. So we'll link some of that research and resources here in the show notes. But it really is a compassionate and proactive approach to replacing challenging behavior with meaningful and functional skills.
It's not about stopping behavior, stopping challenging behavior. We're really looking at replacement skills, right? So the SBT approach really does prioritize teaching skills that meet that same need, but in a more appropriate way. So for instance, if a student is, acting out because, they want attention from an adult, we can teach them how to gain attention in more functional ways.
We talk a lot about the difference between can't do or won't do. We have a whole nother episode that covers that. And that's a lot about what we're talking about within this process. We're trying to identify the things that are a motivation issue, whether maybe they aren't motivated versus a skill deficit. And so we want to do both at the same time. We want to be teaching skills while also at the same time thinking about motivation and reinforcement and what's in it for the child.
We're also really looking at increasing communication. And, even the most verbal kid may not be able to say specific things when they're really stressed out or really anxious. So it's about teaching that communication. So looking at the behavior and saying, what are they trying to say? And that would be the very first step in the skill-based treatment is, okay, so what are you trying to say? Let's give you the words and let's practice that over and over again. And then have the student access those contingencies for saying that word. So, if they're put in the situation where they are trying to gain attention for something, we teach them how to gain attention in a more appropriate way, whether that's saying hi, whether that's saying, hey, look at me, or check this out, or what are you doing? Whatever that is, as soon as they say that line, and it can be prompted at the beginning, hey, say this, say this, say this. As soon as they do, then they get what they want.
And the big difference between, what Hanley's approach and skills-based treatment is talking about and things that we may have been doing for a while is really that SBT starts with trust. It starts with relationship building. When we're doing the PFA, which is the practical functional assessment, which is the first step in this process, we're really trying to prioritize safety, dignity, and rapport building. And those are the things that are going to be the most important throughout the process of treating challenging behavior. And that we're building on that relationship in a way that is safe and also really respects the client.
When you think about it, usually as the BCBA, you get a call and you come in when a child is engaging in challenging behavior and you're asked to find out the function and put together something. Well, that child or that individual doesn't know you at all. and you're supposed to assess challenging behavior, and then you're supposed to provoke them and again get them to try and engage in challenging behavior. Like, it just seems all backwards. So with the practical functional assessment, really what you're trying to do is establish a relationship first. So Hanley talks about something called happy, relaxed, and engaged, or an HRE. And he says, get them happy, relaxed, engaged, because you're pairing with them a little bit and establishing that relationship. But also, when they're happy, relaxed, engaged, you're also finding out some valuable information about when they don't engage in challenging behavior. And that can be huge as well. And then it's about the practical functional assessment is, okay, let's talk to, people involved in their lives and get them to tell you, and a lot of them can tell you, how you can turn on and off the behavior. And it's not just about the four, four simple functions of behavior. It's not just attention or not just escape. Maybe they're escaping a situation to get attention, or maybe they're trying to do something else. They're getting a tangible, but they're also escaping. Like, there could be a whole bunch of different ways to do that. So really, when we're talking about a practical functional assessment, we're looking to really make sure that that student is happy, relaxed, and engaged. We're creating that area of utopia, really. And then you're contrasting and trying to put demands on.
Right. So you're kind of seeing if you can get them happy, relaxed, and engaged with this, which is those synthesized contingencies that Hanley talks about not being single function. And you're seeing if you can if you can contrast their utopia with the highest expectation possible. And if that turns on and off behavior, then you're doing well. But we only do that about once or twice. And then right away we start to shape the hardest behavior into reinforcing the precursors of the behavior. So if they were, throwing something as their hardest behavior, we're going to shape that into just lifting up their arm, and we reinforce with HRE. If you can turn off even the precursors with going back to HRE, then you're in a good spot and your PFA is successful, and then you start to teach right away. We have a whole video of us or Shayna filling out the PFA data sheet so that we were taking data to know if it's successful. So go check that out as an example. And then once you've done the PFA and you successfully identified an individual's happy, relaxed, and engaged, what those synthesized contingencies are, and you have identified what their highest expectations need to be. So those you'll get to a little bit later. You're going to very, very slowly start teaching. The first skill is communication. So you're going to pick any communication response that they can do. You're going to teach communication and reinforce communication all the time. And then once they can do that, you're going to start to introduce you're going to want to teach them toleration, meaning they've asked for their way and you say, no, not right now. And you reinforce that right away. You're using HRE as the reinforcement. So they get to do my way. And then once they've learned toleration, then you're going to move into relinquishing, which is the first cab. They're giving up their favorite item. And then they're going to learn to transition, which is the second cab. They have to move from their HRE to the area of high expectation. And then all along this way, you're intermittently reinforcing all of the previous behaviors. So you're not putting communication on extinction because we're at transitioning. You're still reinforcing just the communication response about 20% of the time. And then you're reinforcing just the toleration response another 20% of the time. So really only 20% of the time are they experiencing the hardest level that you're exposing them to. So you're continuing to have this intermittent reinforcement, with the goal being that we want our students to tolerate this unpredictability of life. Sometimes you get what you want, but sometimes you don't. And the common factor of a student being able to do that is having a strong, trusting relationship with their caregiver, so that they can really trust that this person understands me. They know what I'm saying, even if it's hard for me to say it. And even if the answer is no, I know it will be yes another time.
And I think that that's the biggest difference between, just functional communication training and the SPT approach, is that you are reinforcing, their manding along the way. So, it used to be that we would say, okay, we're going to teach you a really functional man for escape. I want break, and teaching them to request for break. And, they would request for break and get a break. And then they would request for a break and they had to do one thing and then two things and then five things. And then all of a sudden, they're up to 20 minutes worth of work. And when they request for break, you say, look, you still got 20 minutes left, or you've got 15 minutes left, or all these hard things. And they never get the break when they ask for the break right away. Whereas Hanley's saying that 20% of the time, at least, you want to get them to say, or when they say, I want break, you give them the break, even if you've got a million more things to get through, because you don't want to put that break response on extinction. Because, somewhere along the lines, the learner is going to say, well, it's easier. I now know how to ask for break, but if you're never giving me a break, it's just easier to hit. And then I still get a break. So I'm going to, reinforce, as we're doing the SBT, we need to reinforce the asking for break or asking for my way or whatever they're asking for, that functional communication, at least 20% of the time. And then another 20% of the time, we are reinforcing. So we want the student to say, if we say, no, not right now, that's the tolerance piece that Shira's talking about. We say, not right now, we've still got stuff to do. And the student's going to say, okay. And then you're going to say, well, you know what? Change my mind, go ahead, take that break. So that's another 20% of the time. And we're constantly, 20% of the time reinforcing that as well, so that that unpredictability, like Shira mentioned, is there. They don't know at any given time, if they ask, whether they're going to get the break right away, whether when they say okay and they tolerate it, if they're going to get the break, or whether there are going to be some demands thrown in and then they get the break. They don't know. But if they trust you and you're doing this correctly, then they learn that's life.
Yeah, so true. And one of the common questions is, well, are they just going to get their way all the time? Like they just have to say it and they get it. And the answer is no. What we're doing is we're trying to teach in this area of, call precursors, but even before the precursors. Once you've built this trusting relationship, our students aren't going to go to the most extreme behaviors. We'll start to be able to identify what's about to start making them upset. And with this relationship, we can really hold a boundary, but kindly. We can, if they're starting to squirm, we could say like, oh, I know this is really hard and we're going to do it anyway, because I know you can do it. So you continue to build that relationship. It's not about like, first you do this and then you get that. We want to get a couple more responses out of our learners to push them a little bit outside their comfort zone, but not too much that they're escalating to like a full blown behavior, but enough so that they're learning like, I'm feeling uncomfortable, but this person's helping me through it. And I know in a couple, a little bit longer and, I'll go back to my way. And so we're having these teaching opportunities in this area of expectation, where it's not everything's my way, but we're trying to teach them in this, before it becomes a behavior, but they're slightly uncomfortable is really the place to be, that we want to continue to push all of these responses. And eventually we're going to build what we call, branches, which could really be anything. Is it that we want the learner to be at the table for 15 minutes at a time? Is it that we want them to brush their teeth or tolerate somebody brushing their teeth? Or we want them to play independently on the carpet without adult attention? And really the possibilities are endless of what we could start to introduce once they have the skills of communication, toleration, transitioning, and relinquishing. So with those core skills, we can start to teach so many other things.
And that's what's really cool about the SBT approach, is that the real focus is on teaching and not on planned ignoring, or, I'm just going to put this behavior on extinction and not even pay attention to the behavior at all. So it's really bringing in that dignity piece of it, for sure.
For more information on using skill-based treatment, click the link on or around this video or in the description to join our next live CEU event. We also encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos, and leave a like and comment below if you have further questions.